Welcome to the bay here. This is McNab's Bay, or the Malagash Basin. It's Canada's first oyster farm. Dates back to 1866 when a fellow by the name of Alexander McFarland. He was in the US and he was living in Nova Scotia. He was an international trader and a shipbuilder. And he seen something down in the US. He seen them selling oysters. And that was a bit of a shock because the oysters were always the food of the poor people, like lobsters and clams. They told him down there they were using the railroad and they were shipping the oysters all over the place. So McFarland knew something that other people didn't. He was involved with the legislature here in Nova Scotia. McFarland knew that Canada was going to be formed and we were going to have a railway. So he's also one of the political leaders in the province. So he's going over to England, and while he's in England, he sees how things are there, and he goes off to France, where everybody knows so much about the oysters. So he comes back and he gets something that never happened. He gets a lease of the entire bay from the Nova Scotia government. And then he needed people to work on it. So he went to his family up the road. His mother was a McNab, and this being McNab Bay, of course. He went to the McNabs and he said, look, we're going to farm oysters. Well, McNab didn't want to take it on himself, so he said, I'd like to involve my best friends. And his best friend was Stephen Purdy, my great-great-grandfather. Anyway, they went to work farming oysters out here the next year. And they based it on, if you look out, you can see bars out there. These bays actually are all flooded river valleys from when the last glacier melted and sea level rose 150 feet. Anyway, those bars built up and mussels especially set on them. Well, the mussels will die by the heat in late June. The oysters spawn not long after there, and they look for a place to set. They set on all that mussel shell. Normally, that small oysters or spat is killed by the starfish. In this particular case, because the bars are out of the water, so much of the time the starfish don't come up there to kill them. So by the end of November, it's just loaded, all those bars, with millions and millions and billions of small oysters. So McFarland and McNab and Purdy, they utilized that. They would go out there in rowboats, they would load the oysters into tubs, put them into the rowboats, row the boats to areas where the water was deeper, and they would spread that all over the bottom, and that was how they got their oysters to grow. The starfish slow down when the water gets cold, so they would survive. We still do that today, 150 years later, and it's the basis of everything here. The only difference now between then and now is that we use our harvesting system out there, so that makes our harvesting easier. We do a continuous planting and a continuous fishing, so that we'll bring the product up, we'll drop it down, we pick out what we need out of it that's market size, and we interplant cohogs with it, so we're doing 2 crops at one time. And that's the basis of how it works here.